Thank you everyone for joining. It's my pleasure as the technical director, newly minted, I guess you could say. Feeling squished a bit, but no, we're fine. Chris Huffman here. I'm introducing, my pleasure to introduce Barclay Brown as our newly appointed CIO. Talk about you today about our collaboration tools that we use and have available for all of us within INCOSE to make our working efforts much more efficient and effective in our new environments of collaboration that we've been able to leverage partly already and more to come. So Barclay, I'll hand it off to you. We'll take questions and answers in the Q&A chat forum for this webinar, and we'll continue on. Off to you, Barclay.
Very good. Thanks, Chris. And welcome. Yeah, that's right. At INCOSE IT, we're bringing the tech. We're bringing the tech, right? So new tech all the time. So this is some of that. So what's real-time collaboration? Why this thing called Microsoft 365 and Teams? We'll do a little closer look at Teams and a little bit of what's coming. So by real-time collaboration, what do we mean? And I'll give credit right now to the creator of some of these slides. I found these wonderful presentations on SlideShare, and I wasn't sure if I could really use them and reuse them. So I just wrote to the authors, and the authors said, absolutely, go ahead and use it. So I'm using all this great stuff by direct permission from the authors. Isn't that fabulous? Reuse, right? So employees are on 2 times the number of teams compared to 5 years ago, according to Microsoft. Certainly, we know in INCOSE we're on a lot of different teams, so this seems to make sense that we use Teams, right? No, but it's a different kind of concept, right? This idea of real-time collaboration or chat-based collaboration, where I can reach out to someone on a team, instantly, just kind of chat back and forth. And some generations, of course, have grown up with instant messaging and chat and things like that. Others of us came into it later, but it's becoming a real natural way to work. Microsoft Teams, I left this from the originators of this chart because I thought it was kind of funny. It's a collaboration hub for the millennials workforce, right? Well, okay, it's not just for millennials, all right? But the point is good that millennials kind of grew up with this kind of communication because of various online systems and everything. Some of us had to come into it a bit later. But it's the idea of chat as a primary communication medium, but also that it's persistent chat. So it's not just throwaway chat like text messages that come and go, but the chat is built into the collaboration system and it establishes a record, and the chat is related, right?
Barclay,
but also
Barclay, just a minute. You are not sharing.
I'm not sharing?
You're not sharing your screen, Barclay. I just see you.
Well, it's about time somebody told me that.
Thank you. We'll get to it here in a bit.
Who needs slides? We'll just do the whole thing verbally. There. How about now?
Ta-da!
You see this?
Yes, it's coming through. Thank you.
Okay, so here's the charts you missed. No big deal. All right, now, sorry about that, and thanks for letting me know there, Nico. So there are built-in voice and video calls, so it's kind of all mode collaboration at once, right? The chat thing, the collaborating by working on files, and then also voice and video calls kind of all built into a similar environment. That's kind of the general idea. Teams has become quite popular, quite shockingly so, in fact, propelled by, I think that it's easy to use and it's a good product, and also by COVID, the great enabler of digital collaboration technology in the world. And this is what's happened. But Microsoft Teams has been far outgrowing Slack, which is kind of its major similar product. Nothing wrong with Slack. Slack's a great product, and probably many of you use it in various places. But Teams has been growing like crazy in terms of daily active users, 115 million users and that kind of thing. So it's well supported and integrated. Some of the reasons to love Microsoft Teams, this is a chart I borrowed from another different presentation on Teams, that it's about empowerment. It's kind of humorous. I've been getting requests for people to try to say, well, how do I get approved?
Take a look at the chat or the questions.
I speak too fast for non-English participants. Yep, I probably do. You're right. Sorry about that, Heinz. All right, so I will slow down for everybody. Teams, there's a lot of reasons to love Teams. Okay, let me see if there's anything else I need to read in the chat. That's on a different subject. Okay, so it's enhanced communication and real-time collaboration and integrated solution. Okay, so there are many reasons to use it. People were requesting, how do I create a new team and how do I get a new team approved? And the answer is that you create the team yourself. So there is not a big approval process. This is an overview of the Microsoft 365 platform. And there are many aspects of this that we're already using. So the arrows point to the pieces that we're using, and also to pieces that are available to you now if you want to use them. You don't have to get approval for that. You can explore these things on your own. Teams is available like that. All right, so how do you use Teams in INCOSE? There's 3 reasons why Teams has been chosen for INCOSE. One is that it's very popular, and that it being very popular has 2 important aspects. One is that members may know it already, right? Some of you are already using Teams in your companies. And then secondly, that if you don't already use Teams, it will be beneficial for you to learn it, right? Because you'll be ahead of the curve in your company. Also, Teams is integrated with other tools that we use, like email, or that we need. Things like file sharing and video communication, application development, and so forth. And then also that it's integrated with many other third-party systems that we use or could use, like Smartsheet and Miro and other things. There are different types of users in INCOSE. One is, and we'll differentiate these as we talk about this. So first of all, there are 2 different types of Microsoft accounts. One is personal. So a personal Microsoft account is one that you set up as an individual. And some of you have these, and they can be named, those accounts can be named with a Microsoft domain like live.com or outlook.com. And then, or they can be named with really any personal email address like a Gmail or something like that. So those are personal Microsoft accounts. Secondly, work or school Microsoft accounts are attached to a school or a company. So many of you have these from a university or from a company that you work with. Then, so keep that in mind for a moment. And now let's look at the different types of INCOSE Microsoft 365 accounts that we will be using. One is what we call an INCOSE leader account. This is an account for an INCOSE leader, and that includes directors, assistant directors, associate directors, working group chairs, co-chairs, and chapter leaders. There will be a set of chapter leaders that will have these leader accounts based on the chapter size, right? From a few to a bunch based on the chapter size. So that's one kind of account that will end up being probably something several hundred people, and most leaders are already on the platform. Chapter leaders, not so much yet. If you have a chapter and you want to participate in this way, you can let me know, and you can be one of the next chapters to kind of be added. That's one type of account, is INCOSE leader. Second, an INCOSE member is someone who is using your own Microsoft account, right? Either a personal or a work or a school account to access the INCOSE Teams system. And as you may guess, the INCOSE leader accounts cost INCOSE something, right? So we can't just give 18,000 people INCOSE leader accounts. So these are for the leaders who really need this, and the other members will have INCOSE member accounts. INCOSE member accounts show up as guest by their name, but they're really not a guest. They're really an INCOSE member. And there's very, very few people on the platform who are not INCOSE members. The only people on the platform who are not INCOSE members are people who are collaborating with us through another organization or some particular reason, like a handbook reviewer or something. But when you see guest, that means an INCOSE member. Okay, just kind of keep that in mind. So the chart over here on the right, you see we have INCOSE leaders. We have people who are collaborating with INCOSE, like handbook editors are one example, or the journal editors, or somebody from an organization that we have an MOU with, that kind of thing. And then we have INCOSE members, and this is who's on the platform, these 3 circles. Then we have INCOSE friends, which are people who, you have those. They come to your chapter meetings, they come to our conferences, but they're not members of INCOSE yet. So, and we're working on what we're going to do with them, right? I mean, I know you keep track of them, you want them, we want them to join, and so on. And then there's the world, the rest of everybody. All right. Now, there's really, here's the funny part. There's really not much difference between guests, between INCOSE members and INCOSE leaders in terms of what they can do on the platform. INCOSE leaders can be owners or members of teams, and INCOSE members, which are called guests on the platform, can be guests of teams. But here's the funny punchline. Really, there's no difference. The only thing that a INCOSE leader can do that an INCOSE member cannot do is start a team meeting or create a new team. Everything else can be done just fine by all INCOSE members who are on that team. Share files, edit files, upload files, create new things, participate in all the dialogues. All of that stuff is the same. So don't think that a guest is really inferior in some way, right? You can really do everything you need to do. And if you're someone who's not an INCOSE leader, but you think there ought to be a team to do something, you can just get in touch with any INCOSE leader and they can create the team, and then there you go. So should be no barrier. All right. Now, what if you can't use your work account to access INCOSE Teams? And this is a problem for some people. There are a number of INCOSE members who are in companies that have a national cloud account with Microsoft. And this includes Raytheon, who I work for, includes Ball Aerospace and Leidos and Northrop Grumman and Boeing, a whole bunch of people, right? So if that's true, you can't use your work account to access INCOSE Teams. What you need to do is provide a personal Microsoft account to use Teams. And the way you do that is very simple. You go into your INCOSE profile. If you forgot how to access this on the INCOSE website, you sign in and you go up here, profile home, it says, see by the number 1, and then by the number 2, edit my information. So I edit my information, and then you see this form right here, and you notice there's 3 places for email addresses. And number 3 says INCOSE Teams email. So you fill in there the email that you want to use with INCOSE Teams, right? And that can be a personal or work or school Microsoft account, as long as it's not a work account that doesn't work because they have this national cloud thing. See what I mean? So you fill that in, and right now it's not an automated process. So it may take like a day or so for it to reprocess or recreate your account, but that's how you will do that. And we've had to do that, go through that with a bunch of people as we added everybody who's coming to the IW to Teams. There are a bunch of people who had to go through that. I'll mention a couple of other features, and I want to give a few minutes to some guests we have on here to talk about how they've used Teams in their environment. Teams integrates with a bunch of other interesting applications. One is OneNote. So if you're a big fan of OneNote, you can actually use OneNote within Teams and share notes across your team. And you do that by adding a tab in your Teams environment and including OneNote there. So I just wanted to kind of note that for you. All right, so let me switch to Mike Van Arsek, who's on here, who's going to speak for a couple minutes about how the INCOSE Board of Directors has used Teams and what they've learned and so forth. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Barclay. So, yeah, the board has started using Teams for a variety of purposes. I'm sorry, I see my shirt color choice here is unfortunate, but yeah, we found that it makes sense to have channels for specific purposes. So within a team, you can have any number of channels. So we've created channels for budgeting discussions or certain board meetings, et cetera. So it really makes it convenient to allow the chat and files and other things to be organized in that way. And again, one of the things I get way too much email to the point where I filter most of it out because it's not relevant, right? The fact that you can have a chat channel about a certain topic makes it a lot easier to find that discussion and really cuts down on the email clutter, which is a huge win from my perspective. And we had talked earlier, there's a lot of ways to search in things in Teams, so it makes it really easy to find things. There's also the value of setting up teams with a purpose. So because we can self-organize, I set up a team for the licensing task force that I'm engaged with. If you've got a tactical need, you can create a team just for that. You can do your work and then add the people you need. It gives you your own place to organize, and then you can delete it when you're done or archive what you need. So the fact that we can self-organize tactically without having to appeal to the great IT gods to set up a workspace is really awesome. And so again, events committee has theirs, policy management. It works really well. And again, as I said, and I'll slow down too. I just did a Barclay. He and I both have 1-speed overdrive, right? That once you're done, you can archive the content and sunset the team. And the beauty of a lot of this is that because SharePoint is the back end, there's a lot of features there that we can use for that. So next slide, please. The thing I find is the killer app, and this came out of my work with my students as a professor, is the ability to integrate and just join things live, right? That you can be having a chat in Teams, and then if Barclay and I want to have a talk, we just push the call button. We're in a live voice or video call. We can share our screen, we can resolve our stuff and get it done. So it really helps increase the tempo of getting work done, especially if you notice that there's a little green gumball that somebody's online. So, and the fact that you can answer with your phone, your laptop, it's cross-platform. It really enables rapid tactical stuff and really picks up the momentum. I also really like the fact that it's got integration with Smartsheet or Jira or Planner. If we use Microsoft Planner, all your tasks across all your teams show up in one place. There's a lot of really cool integrations that are available with Teams. Next slide, please, Barclay. But my favorite one of all is the ability to have live simultaneous editing of MS Office files. And I saw in the chat that somebody had asked about looking at the Google Suite and stuff. And as much as I enjoy using some of that, I really find that Google Docs and all those things pale in comparison to the full Office suite. And the fact that you can edit a Word document and work on a policy or a thesis or a proposal or a PowerPoint deck in one place and have everybody editing simultaneously and not have somebody having to aggregate 20 different emailed files. And then it turns out that Pete was working off 3 versions old and his updates are wrong. And it just decomplicates that mess. I mean, even getting ready for this, there was one night Chris Hoffman and I were both in PowerPoint live editing, and you can see that, Chris is in, he could see I was in, and we were editing. It really is amazing how much time that can save. And again, if you have group presentations, standards papers, policy and guidance stuff, I really find this is the one I prize above all else, because it just eliminates that administrative hassle of trying to keep all these versions in sync. It gives you one source of truth for that content. And I think it works out really well. Thank you.
Sorry, muted. Thanks. And I'm getting a bunch of comments about people saying, slow down, go over this more, go into more about this, slow down, slow down. Okay. We are almost out of time anyway. So, we could talk for hours on this, and perhaps what I need to do is record more videos on these things. Videos, of course, have the virtue of being able to, you can slow them down, right? If you need to, right? So I'm going to try to maintain a reasonable pace, but I've just wanted to speak to the reason for some of this. Okay, so Yvonne and Serena have kind of stepped up to say, hey, let's have the North Texas chapter jump early on this platform and engage with it. And I got to tell you, they have really taken this on with a vengeance, not just using Teams as it is, but trying to figure out how to extend it, how to do different things with it. And I'll just mention by way of introduction that this is all available to you. You can extend Teams and do a lot of really interesting and advanced things in the Microsoft platform if you choose to learn about it and learn how to do that, right? So we've enabled pretty much all the features in the platform, and depending on how much you want to learn, you can use it and extend it and do different things. So Yvonne or Serena, whoever wants to start, go right ahead.
Hi, this is Yvonne Bijan, and I'll try to remember to speak slow too, as will Serena, I think. But we also could talk about this for hours. We've been super excited about adopting Teams. Serena, do you want to go over the consolidation, or would you like me to? I don't actually hear Serena, so I'll do it.
Okay, I think she needs to be unmuted. She's on the phone there, but why don't you go ahead, Yvonne, and maybe they can unmute Serena. She's on area code 612 phone number.
Okay.
Go ahead, Yvonne. We're almost out of time, so go ahead. Go right ahead.
Barclay, you might want to look at a couple of questions while she's talking.
Well, yeah, you can do that in the chat window too. So we had been using GroupMe for chat before. We tried GlobalMe and WebEx. We had our team documents on a SharePoint site. We had the INCOSE Connect email, which had some limitations. So we'd also used MailChimp. We'd been using SurveyMonkey to poll people, and everybody on the team had their work emails, their personal emails, school emails, and stuff. And so we had all these different things that we were using before, and 365 has helped us replace that and keep all the information in one place. We still have our public website for people that are not guests, and so that they can view our data, but people that are on our teams can view the public website within Teams. Next slide.
I put this in because you've done some interesting things in extending Teams with tabs, and tabs is a really interesting feature to add other applications. So go ahead and you can speak to that.
So we've added channels for addressing specific topics within our teams, and one channel that we had was the general, which is always on a Teams channel. we had our annual planning meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we made a channel specific for that, and we consolidated everything we needed for planning in that channel. And if you go back a slide, I'll talk about some of the apps there that you had. And so for the annual planning, we had created a Miro board and added that to the plan. And so we did a lot of our planning in that, which had mind mapping capability, and it also had Kanban capability. And so we were in the channel, you click on add a tab, and you can use your INCOSE account to log into Miro. And we used it for our SWOT analysis. We used it to define our roles and responsibility. So everybody had a column, and we dragged cards with the tasking around. For the planner, that's basically a to-do list, and it has columns and due dates, and you assign people to it. So as we decided what the chapter was going to do, we created a task in the planner with an assignee and a due date, and planner will email people automatically as their task is coming up, when they're assigned a task, and also when they're late on a task, reminding them to get it done. We put our chapter plan in Word, and we put that on one of the tabs, and we did turn track changes on. And so as the meeting proceeded and we decided what we wanted in the plan, the board members were in that same Word document, editing the plan real time during the meeting. We're thinking of using OneNote for capturing our meeting minutes and content that will go into the newsletter. And so when we have our board meeting, everybody will have their section of OneNote and go and contribute to that. And by the time the meeting is over, we'll have all the content in OneNote. And if you add a SharePoint tab, you can see what's on your SharePoint site right in Teams. But I really like one that's not on here, which is called List. And that is just pointing you to a specific list in SharePoint. And it has a really nice view that you can see it laid out. It's mobile friendly if you're using your phone, and you can click on a list item and edit it right there in Teams. And so we're using that to keep track of our monthly chapter meetings, what the date is, if the speaker's been confirmed or not. As we collect information like their bio, title, and abstract, we're populating that in Teams instead of going through like a dozen emails to figure out where we stand on planning for a chapter meeting. The website tab is how we point to our chapter website for people. And we're also using forms. You can build a form inside of Teams, and you can have a tab for people to fill it out, but you can also give a URL to people who are not a member of INCOSE as a guest or as a full member, so that they can fill out the forms. This can be used to survey your chapter members and other people. It will automatically save the data in an Excel file onto your SharePoint site, and you can see in a tab the real-time results as people fill it out. So all these tabs are really great. Teams is more than just having a chat in the window. It's letting us keep all of our information in one place and collaborate on it together.
All right. Terrific. So let me just move on. I know we're running low on time here. So thanks for North Texas chapter. I think if any chapter wants to get set up on Teams, North Texas, I hope, would be willing to give them some advice. And I would just caution North Texas not to overwhelm them with all the advanced stuff you're doing, because it's wonderful. But a chapter may want to just stay with basic Teams to start. You see what I mean? So, but it's all fun. I mean, this is like a giant candy store, frankly, because as far as you want to go and as much as you want to do with it, it's right there. INCOSE leaders also get full email and calendaring capability, just like you have at work. So I and many other people have started to use your INCOSE.net email address as your full email use in INCOSE. So that is nice as full calendaring. You can see who's available and things like that among the INCOSE leaders. So just to kind of clue you into that, since many of you are INCOSE leaders, somebody has to see this picture again. So luckily enough, it comes up in the presentation here. So Teams is part of Microsoft 365. I want to make also a comment that answers a number of questions about who's on this. Right now, most INCOSE leaders are on here. We're adding more. And then most members who are directly involved with those leaders are added. So if you're a leader and you want some members on there because you want them on teams, you just let me know and we add them. We're not going to add all 18,000 members of INCOSE on here right at once. We're going to add them as people need them. There's no limitation, but we're going to do it progressively and organically as it grows. Let's see, this is about tabs. Sorry, that was a little out of order. Here's a couple of cool things to try. Mentioning people with the @ sign kind of notifies them of messages and so forth. You can open files. Yvonne mentioned this. Any file that's in Teams is actually stored in SharePoint underneath, and SharePoint gives you things like the version history of the file and things like that. So you can kind of go to that deeper level. Here's some resources, and it's already given me some ideas for some of these. INCOSE.org/collaboration. So that's my page that's kind of about this. It has a bunch of videos, even a video about IW2021 right here. And I think we'll add some more videos and probably get Yvonne and Serena to make some videos with me, right, to explain what they're doing in chapters, and we'll have those videos up there. This is a nice video linked in this presentation by the Microsoft guys who essentially invented it. This is like one of the senior managers and one of the developer leads or something, and they talk about Teams. So I think that's kind of great, and a bunch more resources. Teams is so popular and so well known that you'll find many, many resources online for any question, instruction, all kinds of things. There's many, many resources online. So whoops, it's going to play both videos at once, and that's just too advanced for us just to watch two videos at the same time. So we have just a couple of minutes for questions. Let me see if there's any that I didn't get. Getting a bunch of questions about why didn't you consider something else? That's a much larger conversation, and we can take that up at another time. John Palmer asked, what about conversion? So I don't like words like conversion and migration, all right? So for example, let's say you say, well, I got a bunch of files on Connect. So when are we going to migrate or convert? We're not going to migrate or convert. It's up to you. If you want to move your files from Connect over to Teams, and it works, and you have all the people that need those files already on Teams, and that's all ready, you're welcome to do that. And we can help you show how to do that. You may want to download the files, rearrange things a little bit, and then upload them again. Or you can actually do it with your File Explorer on Windows. If you use Internet Explorer, you can open them in a folder and transfer them more easily. And we can help you. We'll put some videos on about how to do that. But it's kind of up to you when you're ready to move your files over and use them in Teams. Then we might mark your Connect file thing read only so that people don't update that over there. So it'll be up to you as when you're ready to do that.
Hey, Barclay, let me jump in with one comment.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
There were a few questions about better training and other stuff. And as Barclay has here, he's been doing some, task-based training and little videos on useful things. But I would encourage you guys, break that mindset. I'm really sick and tired in my day job. Everybody wants me to spoon feed them how to do Magic Draw or something. A lot of this we have to learn by doing. It's new capabilities. It's a great Lego set. I think we need to explore each on our own to some extent. I'm not saying go off in the dark, but groups like Yvonne's group or some of the things the board has done, as we discover useful capabilities, we should share. And as Barclay says here, there's a ton of free training out there. So I encourage everybody, don't expect us to tell you what to do. I would say figure out what you need to do.
Thanks,
Try to see if you can do it on your own. And if you can't, come to us. But let's organically grow what this can do for INCOSE without trying to do this centralized waterfall stuff. It's amazing what you can do.
Mike, sorry, we're running out of time here. Yes, the training course is right here. So this is Microsoft's training course on Teams. So feel free to go through that. As Mike said, you may not need it. You may just be able to fool around in there and figure it out, but there's the training. It's right there. We don't need to recreate Teams training in INCOSE, right? There's plenty of that out there. Any other questions I totally missed? Chris, you want to chime in here? Anything we want to try to jam in at the end?
No, I think, Barclay, we've got opportunity to answer the questions that are in the Q&A forum. So if you as a participant want to hang around, Barclay, if you're able to stay around.
Can we just stay on here
answers
and answer questions? Sure.
I would encourage you just to type the answers in the Q&A forum. For the rest of the folks, we were over 200 participants today in this webinar. So awesome participation. The recording will be made available for playback at slower speeds or faster speeds if you so wish. Can't imagine that. But then also the platform on the INCOSE conference here on our IW platform has the capability to also ask questions of Barclay and the team after this event. So please, you can also keep asking questions as you watch the recording. And of course, we are available in the INCOSE.net environment and even on the Microsoft Teams channel. So find us there.
All right, terrific. Well, thanks everybody. This is the beginning of a great journey. Feel free to reach out to me by email or on Teams or whatever you need to, and we'll keep it going.
Thank you all. Thank you, Barclay. Encourage everybody to please use the breakout sessions. Thanks to our sponsors as well. Take a look at them and have a great workshop. Get some stuff done. Have a good day.
So is this going to, Chris, will this stay live?